Parody Rangers, total morons of a stupid legacy. Parody Rangers, they will fight until the riders die. Super freaking Parody Rangers. As promised, I'm finally doing this one on a particular subject that I teased last weekend. Yes, I know. Thank you.
How long did that one take you?
I wrote that all the way back when we did the movie. We had that as the ending credits. Remember? You like did some stuff for it.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Oh, this is good. You've already forgotten everything. I couldn't do this one alone. I'm joined by Chris Zito. Would you like to introduce yourself as if people wouldn't already know who you are associated with this? Please.
I don't know what people would think me as. Yes, I'm Chris Zito. I was the voice of Meat, the Red Ranger.
Yes, the Red Parody Ragnar.
Pilates Ranger? Oh man, I haven't done my squats in years.
Shut your mouth. I've known you for I think just about a decade, maybe a little over a decade now.
No, probably over. We're just probably shy of 2.
No, not 2. I mean, because I think it was probably early 2004 because we met on the Fallout Shelter forums. Anybody who remembers that? Probably nobody.
Oh God, we're old, aren't we?
Yeah, but we met there, and this is, I guess, just to start that. Do you remember your first experience with me in general?
Yes.
I don't.
Well, against my Catholic schoolboy warnings that I got about internet predators.
You gave out.
I braved off into dangerous territory of sprite comic making because everyone and their mother was doing that, and we all thought we could be 8-bit theater. So we all thought
we could be Mr. LMA. I think was more of that for the Fallout Shelter specifically.
Yeah, Christ. Well, a mixture of the two, because let's face it, 8-bit theater was the one that fucking pilot lighted that whole thing.
Sure.
So, we all thought we could be the cool sprite comic guys, and apparently there was a forum that did that. And then I met you, Mr. Put a Link hat on a Kirby, bleach him, and then holy shit, here he is.
My second Kirblog was about why that was the case, but yeah. Well, you were doing a lot of audio stuff though at the time. Was kind of how I got to know you more specifically. You were doing like just, I guess I hesitate to say like podcasts, but just like little like you had like Pro Tools before it was Pro Tools, I think, or something like that.
It was cool Edit Pro at the time, and it was like a pirated version.
I guess and horrors. But yeah, well, because when I was doing TTA at the time, I worked with you, and Zito, Tome fans will know him as the voice of Panico from the Minigame Madness short as well. Yes.
Let me pinch my nose a little bit for you. There we go.
In the original TV Tome Adventures, you were Neo Mutant and Suzuku, interestingly enough. And yeah, we worked together on that, and you were one of the few people I worked with who had like any. And actually, I don't remember if maybe you told me this before, but I can't remember. Did you do like theater or anything when you were a kid?
Yes.
Okay.
The thing is that I always like to do that sort of entertaining stuff where there would be people in front of me, and even though in any social like situation, I am the most awkward person to be around. But when it comes to just making myself look like a jackass for the sole purpose of entertaining people, I am just ready to like have the tomatoes thrown at my head so people can have a gag at it. So I did do theater. The rocky road that started this. I took up dance first. That didn't fucking pan out at all. Then it turned into theater, which I had a little bit more of a knack for that, because I did a thing of Guys and Dolls, and I did a couple of songs for that, where I had to sing, I think I was Nicely Johnson or something. Yeah, that was the character.
Okay.
Well, it was the role I was born for, because I'm from New York City, and I was talking about an illegal crap game, and that was the whole fucking A-plot of the story, so...
That's right. I think I was captivating. I mean, because obviously I was from New York as well, but I was like,
Oh man, he's from Staten Island. He's got like the real natural accent like my dad, and oh man, he's so cool.
Oh, you mean the fucking fake Jersey accent where everyone knows from the Jersey Shore?
no, that's. I mean, like, no, you have like a real like a real New York accent, just like naturally fit in, which I don't know.
And
I
in
just
some
thought was
circles,
unique.
that could be a compliment or a.
I thought it was cool as shit. I don't know. I mean, although funny as I cast you as a Hispanic and a Asian character in TV Time Adventures.
Yeah, because you couldn't tell that, could you?
No. Well, I mean, when you're just doing like, huh, no, and stuff like that,
I
it's
do
like,
remember
oh,
there
you know.
was a Tusia, and I fucking just like, for the years on in my life, I sit at home with a fit the vodka, just like, what the fuck was that?
Oh, that's
What
right.
was that noise I did?
Because Suzuku, which is TSU Suzuku, I had him do I think I wrote down like what the clips I wanted from you was. It was like cross slash and all that, and then like, there was one that was Tsuya, and you did it as Tsuya, and I'm like, you know, I'll accept that. That's fine.
This guy sucks. Just keep it anyway.
But no. Truthfully, you were amongst the people that I worked with during TTA that proved to be like pretty decent, because everybody else on the quote unquote cast at the time, and this is with no offense to them because they were nice to do this for me, but they weren't actors. They were friends with microphones, especially Mike Lucas, who I absolutely tortured and continue to torture as I had him in Parody Rangers.
It's true. Now he has him on his iPhone. It's just like he has a gun to his head, just like, say something funny into this thing so I can have a text message notification noise. You fuck.
I'm not an actor. I love you, Mike. I'm sorry. Well, the last time I made him do that was when we did the TTA April Fool's thing a couple of years ago, where I had him make his grand return to Alpha.
I think the last time we ever did something like that was in Parody Rangers. I think the third movie we did a
that's
track.
what I meant. Was like, yeah, I was torturing him by continuing to make him do voices with that, because he was Bulk and he was Hammock, which was like the little talking hamster guy from the space one.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, but so on Parody Rangers, 10 minutes later, it's fine to talk about it. So, well, actually, you know, real quick, I did a Kirblog also recently about my experience with the Power Rangers franchise in general. What did you grow up with it at all? Like, what was your like quick experience with the
first
franchise?
season? I think up until the fact that Tommy was on board for like probably 6 months. That's when I stopped watching.
Okay, so you didn't get like super far. You jumped ship pretty early.
No, I jumped ship, but then I got back onto it when the movie came around, and then I jumped ship again because then I think I was into wrestling at the time.
Okay.
And then it turned into Pokemon, and then it slowly transformed me into becoming the asshole who wants to be a video game developer.
You and your Nuzlocke.
Hey man, I completed 4 of those things. You don't even know my shit. You don't know the fucking PTSD I have on that nonsense.
Why don't you start a Let's Play channel about it? Don't
Oh,
ever,
fuck
don't
no.
actually,
No,
don't
no.
do that.
Nuzlocke is not something you do a Let's Play on. It's something you draw a comic for.
I mean, Pro Jared did one, but I mean, either way. So where am I going? Okay, so you watched. Oh, so you saw the movie then? Okay, so that's relevant because I mean we did the movie, but
yeah, because I just remember the fucking poor dude who was like, what was he, the frog, and he actually got
Johnny Ambosh.
Yeah, Johnny Ambosh got super pissed about it, and I was just like, you know what? I understand his plight. And then he gets a fucking kiss on the forehead, and at that time, little me was just like, oh my god, he's gonna get some later. Because that was like as far as the equivalence of like sexual content that will fucking go for like a what?
I mean, probably prepubescent boys watching Power Rangers saw Dulcia being like,
What's this feeling in my pants? I don't understand.
if it wasn't incited by like Kimberly or otherwise.
I was always more of a cat person than a Kimberly person, but that's just me.
Anyway.
All the secrets are coming out now, huh?
Well, I forgot to mention that in the
You
previous
forgot to
blog.
mention
I
that.
did,
No,
yeah. No.
Thanks, Chris, for painfully bringing that up. You fuckface.
Hey, I mean, like, well, Amy Jo Johnson. I mean, she's hot in her own right. I don't know. I thought Kat was a little hotter. It was the Australian vibe that made it more interesting to me.
I could see that logic.
It's so pathetic. It's oh, she's Australian. That's exotic. It's like, shut up. Anyway, no, they're both. No, actually, to give credit to Amy Jo Johnson, she's like also a pretty badass actor. I've seen her on some other TV shows, and she's quite good.
Yes.
But anyway, okay. So, Parody Rangers again. 10 minutes later, let's actually talk about that shit. Okay,
Go for it.
So, it started at the time. This would have been. She's like maybe late 2005, possibly early 2006. I was still knee deep in doing doing TTA. Yes. Or what are you sissing at me for?
No,
What are you gonna say?
I'm trying to think myself. I was just like, yeah, 6 sounds about right because 5
Yeah.
was when I first went into SVA, and you didn't show up until like what, a year or a year and a half later.
I started in 2007. You were 2 years ahead of me at School of Visual Arts.
6
Yeah.
then makes sense then.
Okay, yeah, because I was, I think, yeah, we were finishing up the third Rangers by the time that I got to school, but
Yes.
excuse me. So we were Aaron Hansen, who was Zordon and Alpha 5 and Fly Guy, amongst other various characters in the series. We were talking a lot, and I was in the process of finishing up the third season of TTA. And back when SheezyArt existed, I'll remember SheezyArt, you could submit audio clips, which now I think you can do on DeviantArt, but there's the ability to just submit audio as a submission of art.
They finally put that
And,
in. Jesus Christ, how many years later?
I have no idea, but either way.
Years later that everyone knows that it's not really the best thing to possibly put content on.
No, I mean, well, Newgrounds has kind of become like, for a lot of people to just host audio on, if not just YouTube in general or SoundCloud or whatever. But Tombstone actually likes to use Newgrounds for hosting audio, and believe it or not, even now.
I could see that.
convenient.
I
It's
attempted
nice
that
and
once,
convenient.
but
Yeah. So yeah, he was doing these clips, and it started with a lot of the In a Nutshell series, like DBZ In a Nutshell, which he was really known for at the time. It was right around when Metal Gear Awesome was kind of hitting the scene. And he had these clips of Zordon and Alpha and Jason and Tommy and all these characters just like kind of fucking around or whatever. And I thought that was really funny, and that kind of, got the gears spinning. And at the time, the only Power Rangers parody that really like existed, which had you, had you ever seen the Mighty Morphin Emo Rangers?
nope.
It was a thing. Sorry, I'm really snotty this morning, of course. It was a thing on MySpace, and I can't for the life of me. I never looked into like who made it. It was just like a group of like film students probably that just like got together and made this like this Power Rangers parody of like all of them were spoofs on different subsects of emo kids, and that was the only like Power Rangers like spoof on the internet that was like really around at all. So I thought, oh, I haven't cornered this market yet. There weren't any Flash movies on Newgrounds that any of us really knew of that hit it big on Newgrounds, and because everybody was doing video game parodies, that would come later for me. But when the super unoriginality bug bit me in the form of the Nintendo collabs,
The drought hit in.
yeah, really,
Then the storm came.
that was a dark period for us. Comic-Con 08.
just as you're sitting there like penciling all this information in together, it's just like this small little cloud just like looms over, and here's me sitting in my rocking chair. I'm gonna be writing things about video games, and
I'm going to be
Dark
voicing
clouds
Bowser
are
and
coming.
Falco and everything. That's right. Yeah, also, Zito was my go-to voice for Bowser and Falco, amongst many characters in the Nintendo collabs and otherwise.
I did a bunch of writing things too.
That's true. Yes. But
We Go For
oftentimes
God
I'd forget to credit you on like a fucking idiot, because I forgot who came up with what on certain ones.
Well, I know. Well, if you ask me, I'll probably be able to pinpoint every single thing I wrote.
Probably. Well,
Not to sound
the third
narcissistic
one.
or anything, but like,
No, the third one I took like super mega ultra extra care into like writing down who came up with absolutely everything for everything.
yeah.
But
Still waiting
anyway.
on that Newgrounds T-shirt.
Oh yeah, they were supposed to send you that, weren't they? My God. Yeah, well, I guess skipping ahead, we won a monthly award.
Yeah.
And it was like $250 or something, and we were supposed to get like I got a plaque for making it, and there was supposed to be a T-shirt, and I had one of them be sent to Zito, and it never showed up. I guess it just got lost to the ether of the fucking American mail system.
I still hold it against him. Some kid in like bumfuck Ohio is probably sitting there like, I don't know what Newgrounds is, but I got me this rockin' T-shirt.
Well, you wouldn't, or what are you, Hamsar now? I got this T-shirt. Well, you'd think it wouldn't be fucking rocket science, considering they're in Philly and you're in New York. It's like, oh, okay. But nonetheless, so we made the first one, and so at that time, I approached Aaron, who we had become friends with already, and I was like, "Do you want to voice your version of Alpha 5 and Zordon in?" Because I liked the clips that he did, and they were kind of like they were kind of what got me thinking about doing it. And I was thinking, just one day I went to school and I kind of sketched up the characters and came up with these like, excuse me, I'm all disgusting today. Sorry, all these like exaggerated versions of what Billy and Jason and Trini and Zach and Kimberly would be like if I made like not like just flat out versions of them, but just like really like exaggerated equivalents of them. It's like the obnoxious loud white guy and the
perspective.
And the nerdy guy and the Asian girl and the black guy, not personalities, just their races, because that's the whole thing of it, was that there were no personalities to be had really. At least when they started, they were just all gags, and kind of over the course of the show they grew to have personalities that I grew to cherish. And in the case of Meat, for instance, Meat started in inspiration from in one of those clips that Aaron did, where like at the end Jason would come in and just be like screaming "One sword on," whatever, and then when it came to like casting, I thought of you first, because I was like, well, who do I know who could scream and be hilarious and ridiculous really well? Zito, perfect. So I came to you, and I don't even remember what it was like. No, yes I do. We recorded the first one, and how many? You did at least like 5 different takes of the orgasming giant robots gag.
Oh, what, for the third move? For the Flash?
No,
movie?
the first one.
Oh, right. I'm thinking of like the first Flash, not the movie. Yeah. Because I think wasn't there one take where one of the outtakes was I actually whipped out my cell phone and forced the ringtone to come on and pretend like I was.
Oh no! That was the movie. That was the movie you did that. No, I'm talking like the original first Parody Rangers that we did. Like I must have made you do the orgasm improv thing like 5 different times, and then ultimately just ended up going with the first take. The final thing.
So really, you were just going for the reach around on those last 4 then?
No, I think I just wanted variation, and then I was just like, the first one was the best.
Variation,
let's just go with that.
right?
Yeah. I remember also having Aaron redo the thing for the Megazord.
Yeah.
And then he was getting really indignant, and then the suck my dick thing was just like this extended thing. Like, hey, Kermit likes to suck dicks. That's what he likes to do, suck my dick. And I'm like, I'm tossing that in there. Why not? But so we did the first one, and it hit the front page of Newgrounds, and I think that might have been the first time I hit front page of Newgrounds, and it was really exciting, and it was a huge deal, and so we put that out, and we were really excited about it, and then I think already I was I went to school the next day, and I started thinking up ideas for the second one, and I knew I wanted to do something with the Green Ranger. Do you remember anything else kind of from that time, like when the first one was going on? Anything specific?
No, like I said, like after. I think I watched like maybe 4 to 5 episodes into the new season with like all the other new Rangers, but then beyond that, I was just starting to get really bored.
Okay, well, I mean, when we put out the first Parody Rangers, like, do you remember anything like going on like with Newgrounds at the time? Because I think you weren't really like that involved with the community yet until.
No, I was more of a lurker than I was involved, because then I like started posting some art, and Christ Almighty, heaven help anyone who finds any of that old art I did.
Was the art portal a thing yet? I don't think.
I don't believe it was a thing, because the art portal kind of happened around 2008, I want to say.
Yeah, around we were going to Comic-Con, I think, yeah.
That's it, yeah. We were going to Comic-Con, and then, like, I think that was out for, like, maybe most of a year. That's when I started posting up content, because Lord knows I didn't have time or the patience to actually make a Flash cartoon, so I said, yeah, you know what, fuck it. Instead of doing that angle, because I know how much of a fucking insane, like, mess you were for getting stuff done about that, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna put myself through that torture. I'm just gonna make wacky voices and see if anyone likes that.
Well, we finished the first one, and then I finished up TTA Season 3, and by that point in time, it was pretty clear what it was that was going to get me more attention. So I decided to do the sequel, and we did the sequel and put that out in the May of 2007, so I was just finishing up school. And by that point, it was the talk of my whole friend group, and I had Zach Bellissimo and Mike Lucas be added to the quote unquote cast by that point of having the Bulk and Skull characters and Booch and Booch Senior, which was kind of all based on like a sort of an inside joke that we had about our friend Mike Carbuccia, who Booch and Son were based off of. He was like, oh, you guys, someday I'm gonna, he kind of, he would do this voice that kind of sounds like Film Cow or whatever, like, Detective Heard of America. He'd be like, oh, hey guys, like when you guys like get older and are making like famous cartoons and I'm married and have a kid, my kid's gonna be watching your shows. He's gonna be like, Daddy, is that, I like this show made by Chris Niosi. And he's like, that's right, son, I grew up with Chris Niosi when I was in school, and blah, blah, blah. That was where the whole joke with those characters started from. I was just like, that's hilarious. I'm going to put them in the show. The Parody Rangers kind of, for better or worse, became the show of my friends would come up with something funny that I felt like would never really come to fruition beyond just like making it a joke and or whatever. So I was like, oh, can we put this in the cartoon and I'll credit you as like a punch up writer or whatever, like, which. It was in a naive way, like I'm ripping off this person's joke and putting it in my thing and basically getting credit for it without realizing. But like a lot of like, you know, a lot of the Fireball 20XL guys at the time that we had on the cast and everything, like they didn't care really, and so they were just like tossing in ideas and shit all the time. And even you, I mean, like I just kind of let you go with the improvisational shit because you were doing so much of that already with your own stuff that I just thought, oh, like I just let you go wild with meat and just come up with things and be ridiculous with it. And
well, at the time, I was like getting into voice acting as like a you know, a professional thing. Because around that time, I was taking classes from a guy who did stuff for commercial work. I believe his name was Howard Ross, but unfortunately, that didn't really go that far. And then when the cartoons kicked in and you kept putting me on for stuff, then at that time I was saying to myself, hey, you know what? Maybe this is some kind of sign that maybe I am put on this earth to make fucking wacky voices and pretend like I can get paid for it and make a living.
Well, I mean, Meat became one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite of the whole bunch. So, because by the time that we got up to the later episodes, we expanded upon a lot of their personalities and everything, and we had kind of evolved them into their own beasts beyond these kind of two-dimensional. I mean, a lot of them still kind of were, but they grew to have a lot more range beyond just being like shadows of the exaggerations of Jason and Billy and Kimberly and all that and everything. Particularly when we had Billiam tossed in, which I've told that story as to how his voice came to be on the Omadon Kirblog that I did, I think, over a whole year ago by this point. It's crazy. But we continued forward. The second one had the Green Ranger in it, and this ridiculous whole convoluted inside joke of having the Green Ranger secretly be Vector the Crocodile, which I did not tell anybody until I had Kalen record the lines until like right up until the end of it. So I kept like top secret, and then I just made it and put it out there. And that was around the birth of the Find the Computer Room YTM&D thing that had been originated. Thanks in part to me. And and then we went through it. And then I started on the third one, which was Parody Rangers in Space over the summer. By that point, TTA had been pretty much finished. I decided that I wasn't going to continue doing the 4th season, of which people were continuously giving me shit until this very day. Not really, but... and then the 3rd one, I had gotten actually my first tablet laptop. So I was finally getting to draw graphics without a mouse. I could actually use my real arms to finish something. And God, did that make my life easier. So we finished up the 3rd one.
Now you have
put
to,
that out.
Now you have to shell out for the Cintiq.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was finally time for me to just fucking do that already. It's my ultimate Christmas present to myself, more or less.
Thanks, me!
Yeah.
And then
well,
there's like you, imaginary you, like outside the window in like a fucking floating sled. No problem, me.
No problem.
Merry Christmas.
And there's like, oh, Santa came. It's me.
Santa came, and meanwhile there's you in a straitjacket looking outside the window of the insane asylum.
My fucking multiple personality disorder. No, really, with Santa, he came. He gave me the Cintiq, and
Santa
it allowed me
came
to finish up
again.
the rest
It's
of
August, Billy.
Speaking of which, but yes, we did the 7th one around that time in the summer, and that was right when we were starting up my time at SVA, more or less. Mm-hmm. And by that point it had become fully established, and people really enjoyed it, and it was a pretty big thing. Came out with that in September of 2007. So and yeah, that was right around. So I'd started SVA, and then we started hanging out in person. I think we'd probably met at Otakon before
Twice,
that.
Yeah.
Yes. But we were finally hanging. It was for a while. It was the 2 Chris's and the 2 Mikes. It was you and me, and Mike Lucas and Mike Aracco, kind of bumming around a lot.
Yeah, like
And,
4 o'clock in the morning at Lyric.
Yeah, doing our homework, and you were 3rd year, so you were doing your thesis.
I was doing
think,
my
by that
thesis
point
at the
for-
time, and meanwhile, I'm trying to do my thesis work and talk to you guys at the same time. And meanwhile, a couple of you guys are bitching, should we go to Cosmos or Lyric? And I'm just like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I got shit to do, guys. Come on.
And they both suck.
Yeah, they both equally suck. But it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're getting something to eat. What the fuck do you want?
And I've lost control of my life. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. So, sometime in 2007, I decided, okay, we're gonna do the movie. We're finally gonna fucking do the movie. So I went back with my friends in Long Island, and it was me, Mike Lucas, Zach Bellissimo, and a bunch of our friends that we went to high school with. And we all got together, and we went to Zach's place, I remember, one morning. And we whipped out the old Power Rangers, the movie VHS tape that I had. And Zach still had a VHS player. And we watched the movie. And we would pause at different intervals, and we came up with different jokes and different various things. And, Yannick and Booch were there, and we came up with some ideas for their characters, because we decided to integrate the Yannick Jr. character in that as well. And we did all that, and I'm trying to remember some specific jokes that kind of spawned as a part of that. We had, I think it's a rock. No, I think it looks more like a rock. Well, yes, but the shape of it, yes, we get it. It looks like a giant prick, like that was one that spawned from there.
Well, to be fair, every fucking spaceship looks like a giant dick.
No, it was the monolith. It was the monolith they had to get to.
Oh, right.
So
right.
that
No.
happened.
Well, I'm just thinking that because
Yeah.
in like all science fiction, every ship is shaped like a dick.
Right. Well, I mean, it's because it's aerodynamics,
No, well, okay, sure. We'll just leave it at that then.
And then after that, I took those jokes and integrated them in. And by that point, I was also doing a lot of research into the sort of, I guess, like beta period of the movie's development. So I was looking up stuff about like the production and everything, and finding out all these things about how like Ivan Ooze's original little henchman characters were guys in rat suits before his little slime minion guys. And the color-coded beds of the Ninjetti headquarters, and Dulcia being a different, younger actress that was probably a little too sexualized again for the boys, as the joke we were making earlier. I tried to work in little things about all of these jokes into it, and then just wrote this giant ass, long ass fucking script, and then I had you and a few of the others come in and make some jokes and add different ideas and things, into the the whole script of everything. And so then I think that we recorded you, and now I think you'll probably be remembering some details. We recorded your lines for the movie at SVA at the time, I think in my dorm room, because I had my Samson C01 microphone, and I think we recorded all the Nintendo collabs there too, if I'm remembering correctly. But you came into Mike and I's dorm room, and we just did the whole thing together.
It was so dark in there.
And we did it during the daytime.
It was so dark in there.
But do you have any specific memories of recording on the movie? Because that was a long process of doing all that stuff, like longer than any of the previous
I
ones.
do remember I resorted to a lot of low comedy in a very cramped area to get the most comedic effect out of a lot of the lines I did.
Yeah.
I think that all spawned from the fact that when I was recording one line, a lot of stuff in my dorm room was not very well placed together. So whenever I did audition lines, stuff would fall on me in the midst of recording. And unfortunately, one of those instances happened to be that I just got a hanging bar for my microphone at the time. And since I didn't really have the space, I had to make do with makeshifting duct tape and the microphone on the railing of my bed. And lo and behold...
That's right, because your room was really small at SVA, wasn't it?
Well, that was so I could... I asked for a single, and they gave me the smallest one possible, and I said, you know what, fuck it, that's fine, because at least I got what I was there for, because I didn't really have the best experience with roommates, so I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to skip the middleman and just get my own place.
Yeah.
So
I was lucky because Mike was a great roommate, and we never had any issues, and we had a much bigger space that we could share as a result of it, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah, you walked in with a friend, I walked in alone, so I that's where I met a couple of cool guys, but unfortunately a lot of them were pricks. Look, they don't know me, they're not going to fucking listen to this, they were fucking pricks. So, long story short, the microphone in the midst of recording fell on my junk. So that resulted in me wheezing and on the floor, and it was all recording. And then you got your hands on the full thing, and you and everyone else was like on the floor dying of laughter, and meanwhile I was dying in real life.
Well, I mean, especially because it had happened once before. We were doing the TTA movie, and you were like in the middle of saying some line, and your microphone fell on you a second time. And I thought you were joking.
Yeah, no.
And then it just so happens to happen to you again in college.
Yeah, a lot of stuff fell on me in college. So that happened, and then I said, you know what, fuck it. I'll take a page from the Three Stooges and use low comedy as a part of my act when I actually do method acting. So I would actually like hit the floor, or to insinuate like someone actually getting hit, so you wouldn't have to go searching for those sound effects. And I just remember you and Mike Rocco looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, I remember also, okay, you're going to have to fill me in on this. I remember also listing you early on as a quote-unquote audio manager for the Parody Rangers series, but with no disrespect, I can't quite remember exactly what that meant, like what it is that you did that like made me want to credit you as that. Like, do you remember what it is that like was it just you giving me advice on how to not fuck up my sound or something, or like maybe giving me sound effects? I know you give me a lot of music.
I did give you sound effects. B, and I also did like not assist you, but like I gave you advice on how you should be mixing certain things.
Because I think you also definitely gave me music, like dating back to the TTA days as well.
Yeah.
Because I think you... Oh, that's right, because I was the original voice of Raccoon before he was Raccoon, and you pitched up his voice clips for me, and then you were like, you must let me choose the theme song music for him. I always distinctly remember you saying that, and then you gave me Dig It by Skinny Puppy.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. And then, funnily enough, the Hacker theme and tone ended up kind of sounding like that, crossed with like the Shinra music from Final Fantasy. But yeah, so we did the whole movie. That was when you did the orgasm improv with with using the phone as the prop, which if you can finish that story now if you want.
Oh well, I while I was in the midst of doing that, I said to myself, "What's the most awkward thing you could possibly do while having sex with someone?" And I immediately thought, actually getting into a phone call with someone that's not important, and actually getting into it like it is important. So I said, what's something that could be like that? I was like, all right, either DMV or something. And then I just whipped out my phone and I said, yeah, I want to start, changing my long service provider.
So for this whole scene in the with the color coded beds in the ninja headquarters and all that, I had I had all five of the Ranger actors, and
Ranger
Kira
actors?
Buckley, and it was you, Edwin, Nero, Maria, Rena, and Edwin, all doing like a minute solid worth of orgasm improv, just like doing ridiculous nonsense.
I do
And
have
I
to
had
ask before we continue, what did your neighbors in the dorm room say after I walked away from that recording?
Nothing. I think they were all gone, thank God, by that point, so they weren't questioning the very bizarre fucking things we were doing at that point. mostly the screaming more than the orgasming.
Because the last time I remember, like, when we were over there in that dorm room, like, the walls were so thin that I remember I actually got spooked in when Fallout 3 came out, and there was a scene where you go into this ant colony, and it was like, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning, pitch black outside, and my room was like not lit very well, and I jump super easy around scary parts of video games. Like, I'm not really that fantastic when it comes to horror games, so there's me getting super invested because I have like no ammo and shit. I turn the corner and there's one of the fucking giant drone ants, and I let out this blood curdling scream that everyone on my floor thought I got killed in real life. So
IRL.
that's why when I went into that recording and I'm like, all right, so you want me to do what now? Oh yeah, I want you to scream and I want you to fake orgasm.
You know.
Yeah. Are we gonna do this in the studio? No, we're gonna do it right here in this room.
Yeah, at my dorm. In a suite.
I'm like,
with 6 other people.
okay. You better vouch for me when I say acting.
Well, it turned out good. I mean, you gave some wonderful performances in that. Some wonderfully dramatic performances for such a comedic script, I would say.
Oh yeah, well, if this character, well, I know the character was meant to be like an over exaggeration of just a jock asshole. So
Yeah.
I said, you know what, fuck it. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna ham it up as much as I can.
But we made him really like sad inside. Like everything about his Power Rangers team like meant so fucking much to him. It was like all his entire livelihood all tied together, and like
And yet they're all horrible fucking people.
no. Well, I mean, but he was an imbecile, not so much a horrible person. The rest of them weren't so much bad people; they were just really shallow. And not to say that Meat wasn't necessarily shallow, but he just genuinely cared so much about this fucking team, and it meant everything to him. The scene, I think it was the end of the part 1 of the Parody Rangers movie, which, skipping ahead now a little bit, long after we wrote the first part, we also brought, of course, Josh Tomar and Kira Buckland into the cast to do the new movie characters. and then we put the first one out, I want to say sometime in like 2008, after at least Brawl Taunts and maybe the first Nintendo collab had come out. So that would have been October of 2008. So the second year for SVA for me would have already been started, and you were about to finish up your final year. But the scene at the end of the first part of the movie where Meat is having like the fucking mental breakdown over the fact that they lost, and how they're like, he's so embarrassed he can't face Zordon after all these years of them never losing. They were so fucking embarrassed.
Yeah. Well, he was.
And
they all just like kind of fucked off politely.
They were just like, whatever, we don't care, really.
I'm like, don't fucking touch me, man.
Really, I wanted an excuse for them finding other jobs, such as Meat becoming the spokesperson for fucking Power Thirst.
Yeah, and then what was that one scene that I wrote and you fucking just loved and you wanted to put it in? Was it that part where he says like, you know, I want to be a Power Ranger. I'd like to go back to go up to Evil's face and go WHA-BAM. Actually, you've never said that ever.
Oh yeah,
And then
yeah,
he just
the film
fucking,
director.
he just breaks down.
And he just like pats him on the back. Good working with you today, big guy. And yeah, he's just like crying. I use the fucking like Kingdom Hearts Roxas like fucking dramatic ass piano Yoko Shimomura music for his just like breakdown. And then, oh, I got a message.
Yeah.
Just like, snaps out of it.
That's one of my favorite parts about doing that character was that I could completely 180 on emotions. That's the kind of like funny I get into where I can just completely 180 on the tip of a hat or right on the stop of a dime or something.
You know, it's funny. I think in thinking about something now, I think I really kind of owe the Rangers something because something I was going to kind of mention earlier. I guess it's worth mentioning now, especially because this was 2008 was the era of I'm fully enveloped by the, you know, as I've talked about on many Kirblogs in the past, the whole deal of, if I do video game parodies, I'll be popular.
Gadzooks.
I was so fucking Gadzooks. Don't do that. I was so incredibly like hypnotized by the prospect of like, oh my god, I can. Oh Jesus, I can fucking like, you know, make a name for myself if I do all these Nintendo collabs and continue doing Brawl Tonsuses and all this shit. But really, the Parody Rangers were kind of, you know, my one true love, the thing I really wanted to do at the time, because those were the characters that I owned. They weren't the Nintendo characters, just, you know, being put in stupid scenarios and everything. And that era, especially the first Nintendo collab and the Parody Rangers movie in particular. Those Flash movies were the whole prospect of, oh my god, the world is my oyster. I can make whatever I want and just put it out there, and it exists. I'm gonna get all of the stupid jokes. And oh we did, and then that was the end of an era, thank Christ. But yeah, it was more that like I felt, I can get all of these stupid jokes that I've had for all of these years finally out of my system. So by the time we got up to the second part, you know, I'd already written the script for, you know, long since by that point, but I was just expending all of like the jokes that I had, like not just that we wrote for the script, but ones that I wanted to just do, like, you know, for instance, the, you know, Thomas the Tank Engine Zords that they would get later in the third part of the movie, which I really thought was kind of funny. I don't know, I thought that was kind of a clever little thing. And apparently I predicted the future because I had no idea that eventually there was a train themed Power Rangers series, and everybody thought that that's what that was in tribute to. And I predicted the future with that.
No,
apparently.
You just got a hard on for Thomas the Tank Engine.
I mean, well, yes, obviously, but Lord, but yeah, that was another the two breakdowns, and then also Meat in his very brief like I hate the world period when they got the train Zords, and his eyes like literally pop out of his fucking head. Just him being so upset, and also of course they didn't cause the you know, the orgasms anymore. He was just so disappointed with himself.
It's like when you get that super high, and then you come back down to earth, and you will never get that high again.
You will never be able to take that much acid again in your life.
There's not enough magic in the world to possibly give you that same satisfaction you once had.
To fund that shit. Did you have any favorite moments, whether you recorded them or not, from the movie? Because the movie, I think, actually, like, not that I think it holds up necessarily, but when I go back, I can go back and watch it. The original trilogy, I cannot watch those. They just do not make me laugh at all anymore. The movie, I still have kind of a... It's not even that it makes me laugh. I just have such a sentimental, like, soft spot for it with, like, just where the characters went by that point and, like, doing this whole stupid story and just what it meant to me, like, making it happen and everything.
Well, if we're going to be talking about this, I guess I would have to ask, like, are you specifically asking me about Meat himself or just the movies in general?
Just even in general, like, any particular moments or any any gags, anything that happened throughout the movie that just was really funny to you or like stood out to you or anything like that?
I don't know if I'm gonna sound narcissistic, but I just really enjoyed the time I did with doing my lines, and I guess it goes without saying that because I did those, I remember those the most.
No, that's perfectly fair. I mean, he had a lot of the funniest moments in the movie, like in general. Uh, by that point, we had gotten to know Tomar, of course.
Yeah.
Who, was the first person to audition for Evan Splooge and ultimately got it, of course. And something I was actually really, really grateful about to him too was because by the time we did the third Rangers, I was directing people then, and I finally started directing the actors on their lines and everything for each one. And directing Tomar on that, he was actually very satisfied with like how his performance turned out. And Evan Splooge is still one of his favorite characters that he's ever performed in anything, just for like the sheer fun of the performance and like all the stuff he got to do. And I'm really glad he was a really fun character to have in there. So I liked him a lot.
I think that I'm starting to like recollect a little bit on like the favorite part thing. I know you really don't like it because you just said your contempt for the original series, but the near-death experience is the one that comes to mind.
Oh yeah, that was some fun stuff.
The near-death experience and just the fact that I was able to falsetto my voice at the very end, and then it just turns into just a tiny little love tap to the face is what ended the whole thing. But you don't have that scene anymore because you had to redraw that, didn't you? And you just redrew it that the whole universe like exploded and recreated itself. But
because in that one, that's when Stan launches the paradox bomb, which causes the big time warp explosion, and then Vector uses the safe word to reset the timeline back to just before the Green Ranger revealed himself as Vector, and it was this convoluted ass nonsensical bullshit that I came up with.
Well, you just used it to cover your ass that you lost the fucking other file or it got corrupted.
Well, no, but even in the original, like the whole idea I had was that like, oh, it resets the timeline, it goes back to before the space season happened, and then he's able to prevent Zordon from exploding and destroying the entire fucking planet.
And we'll just check off the little trope they took from the Pokemon movie where this just proves fighting is wrong, the whole antithesis of the fucking show, and make sure it never was fucking occurred in the first place.
It's okay. That was an American only thing. That was legitimately a 4Kids thing. Don't worry about it. But yeah, we and then because I lost that, yeah, so I made up the whole, because by that point the Zelda timeline had come out, and I thought the whole prospect of the timeline where the hero goes back to his childhood, the timeline where the hero is triumphant, and the timeline where the hero is unsuccessful.
Well, to be fair, no one fucking saw that last one coming until the Historia came out, until like what, 3 years ago?
Was that how many years ago Historia came out?
Well, I think it came out and it came to America in that timeline. Before then, I think it was out like a year or so ahead of time.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So I had an alternate version where Lord Zet, I almost said Zeto, Lord Zet defeats, same thing, where he defeats Meat, and then he just goes insane and nothing's done about the paradox bomb, and then ultimately Vector has to save the whole world in another way, and then we just start off and things just kick right into the movie in the sky, and there it goes. How about you? But it was.
I'm sorry, and one more last thing. I do remember the one-off gag where no one made mention to the fact that Tomar's pet was a little cock.
Oh, that was I felt bad because that was Zach Bellissimo's character, Cockles the Magic Cock.
Yeah.
Which he was totally fine with me using, but it was now a lot of people people did associate that with Parody Rangers, and they thought that that's where he came from. But I don't know if he ever plans on actually using Cockles for something else at this point.
I don't know. I think like it's in the back of my head, just like everyone was like super complacent, and like while Splooge was talking, he's just stroking his evil genius cat who happened to be this giant cock with googly eyes. And no one made mention to it. Like, it just hung around just enough for people to be like, why the fuck does he have that?
Fuck?
What the fuck is that? And then all of a sudden, it's Cockles, the magic cock squirt.
Squirt.
just the timing on that was perfect, because it's like, it lingers, people question it while something else is going on that's serious, and then finally the world is cognizant of it, but only for a brief second. That it's just like, if you didn't catch it, it's gonna make you laugh.
Yeah. It was just long enough to let it seep in, and it's like, wait a minute.
And it never happens again.
Just goes away. I did like that. It was an effective gag. For me too, I'm thinking about like towards the end of the movie, because the third and final part didn't come out until way after, like at least a full year after the second part. There was a long gap because we did we did the Nintendo collabs. I eventually had my kind of wake up call of like, you know what, this isn't the stuff that I want to be doing. So I started working on my thesis film as I was finishing up my third year of SVA, and then over the summer I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm just going to finish up the movie and leave my parody stuff behind and move on to doing all original stuff. And I did. And so I worked on the third and final part of the whole thing, and I went ahead and, got all the rest of my stupid gags out of my system, finished up everything. And the Parody Rangers, like I was kind of implying before I was going to finish up the rest of that story, was because they were my own characters. They weren't like, the pre-existing Nintendo characters, whatever. They were still mine. They kind of, led the way into me eventually, me eventually getting back on that path that I needed to be on of doing my own stuff. And not being too focused and stuck on, what's gonna get me the most amount of attention, what's gonna make me the most popular if I continue doing these fucking parodies or whatever. And the other thing too was, because I'd already written this by the time we'd gotten up to the third part, and we had the whole script written. I had this whole speech of Evan Splooge talking about how all people ever care about is sex jokes and this and that, and nobody cares about, a tribute to the once proud Power Rangers legacy. I am the star, not you. That whole kind of like him being preachy or whatever and being a douchebag about it. That was kind of the beginning of me knowing that okay, this isn't what I want to be doing forever. And so by the time I got to the end of it, it's like, okay, I fully owned this, but I finished this. I want to give these characters a proper send off, and I'm glad that I did. I am glad that I didn't leave it hanging. I think it was also, funnily enough, in part thanks to Evan Splooge's actor, Tomar, who is always like, Chris, I'm really proud of the fact that you never leave things hanging. You always finish what you set out to do. And it was that allowed me to, just kind of get to the end, and I did everything that I wanted to do.
Ah, shit.
And
sorry, my headphones kind of fell off.
I will never forgive you. God damn it. But
just fucking clean this up in editing. Don't worry about it.
Keeping it all in. But no, I am really glad that we managed to get to the end, and then we did give the characters a proper send-off, and I guess in your case, everybody was able to hear the rest of your lovely performance that we had already long since recorded and everything. Ending with two wonderful quotes. A great man once told me, "Do you know how many continuity errors this show had already?"
I thought my final one was me screaming no and throwing.
Oh no, I was getting to that. I guess a little trivia behind that too. So that was of course in tribute to the whole final scene of the movie. I actually placed in Tony Oliver, who is the original director and the voice of Saba, the White Tiger sword. I placed him in there because he had told a story to me at a convention, and which by the way, he had seen Parody Rangers. The original director of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show had seen the Parody Rangers.
What was the
series.
look on his face when you approached him?
Well, no, what happened was I was on Kyle Abert's final panel at the time when he was about to finish up the Big Ball broadcast before he eventually brought it back a few like a while ago, maybe a few years ago by this point. And on the panel, I mentioned I had done that, and he was on the panel with me. And I mentioned that, and because I knew him mainly as a voice actor, because he was the voice of like Lupin, a bunch of characters in like Robotech and all that. And I completely forgot that he worked on Power Rangers as the director. And I just mentioned offhand, like, oh yeah, I did Power Ranger. I did the Parody Ranger series on Newgrounds because we were talking about like toy collections or whatever. And I mentioned that, and then Tony looks over to me. We're on this panel at Anime Next in Jersey, and he just looks over to me on this panel with a bunch of people, and he's like, wait, that was you? No exaggeration. And the whole room is laughing. And I'm just so fucking flabbergasted. And I'm just like, oh, God. And then after the panel was over, I was like, dude, I'm so... It's like, no. It was fucking hilarious. I saw it like ages ago. And I'm just like, oh, thank God. I'm forgetting. That was also the reason why in the third one, hi, I'm Tony Oliver, and I'm a talking weapon. I made the little keychain on the White Ranger Vector's... Keyblade thing that he had. I made that into Tony Oliver's head. But in the movie, in the very final scene, because by that point we had met at a couple other conventions, and now actually I've worked with Tony. He directed me on an anime I did out here called A Lull in the Sea, and he's always got some funny Power Ranger stories because because Hayam Saban was such a bizarre guy to work with. But he was telling me a while ago about when they filmed the Power Rangers movie in Australia. For like however many months, they had to spend Thanksgiving in Australia because they couldn't return back home for the holiday. So they flew out Tony's family, and they had kangaroo turkey for Thanksgiving during that time.
I beg your pardon?
And so, yeah, kangaroo turkey, not like a roast kangaroo as the turkey instead of an actual turkey. It was pretty hilarious. But what's up?
No, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, is that a metaphor for something? Are you joking? And then like I'm like, oh, it's actually a kangaroo, or is it a turkey? Is it a turkey that they jokingly call a kangaroo, or
no? It was roast kangaroo. They ate a kangaroo. That's what it was.
Okay, well now that's cleared up. Oh my god.
Yeah. So I put him in the final scene where with the party where all of them are like at the dinner tables and everything, and he's sitting at a table with Bulk and Skull and Yannick Jr. and the fucking shark, and all the other characters are sitting together and everything. And yeah, what was the commercial that we were parodying that you did that final screen?
Back in I don't remember what year it was, but I actually was around for this because there was a Snickers commercial where like...
Was it Snickers?
No, it was Snickers. It was a bunch of dudes dressed up as historical figures where like someone like a Viking comes in and screams feast, and like every other like sort of nationality like back in historical times, like the Viking will like come up to like Julius Caesar, scream feast, and hold up the Snickers bar, and then everyone would follow him, and then like for the next couple of commercials in that series, it would be all of those dudes hanging out and just talking about, like, just bullshitting, chatting, and shooting the shit while enjoying a Snickers. And one of them, and actually all of these were recorded in Staten Island, like, all of these commercials were done, because I remember every single location, and I actually was on set at one of them.
No shit.
Not this
I
one.
didn't know that.
Not this one. Not the one that we're gonna mention now, but, like, one of them was like on the Staten Island Expressway, and I actually got to like see the dudes who were dressed up, and NYU Film was there. So I remember I was trying to go to the mall, and I didn't end up going to the mall that day because the fucking expressway was blocked off. But the commercial they did was they're up at like a campsite, and like one of the dudes goes, "Hey, we're out of Snickers," and the Viking just like tweaks his face, picks up a fucking garbage pail, and just screams "No!" and he throws it across the way, and it breaks this dude's parked car in the background. But and then the guy who mentioned that they're out of Snickers was like they were showing off another form of Snickers. I don't remember what it was, but then when he mentions that, the guy just, like, picks up another garbage pail, screams yay, and does the exact same thing, just destroying this dude's car in the background, and then devours the fucking, like, Snickers bar out of the dude's hand.
And so, inevitably knowing that eventually we were going to get questions about about when are we going to do the next Parody Rangers movie, and I felt to illustrate that in the form of Lord Zed being the one to pose the question. The last thing heard, of course, was my Tom and Jerry stream of Lord Zed being tossed out into the fucking ocean with Zito's death-defying no. We'll get higher and higher, straight up we'll climb. Which I fucking love that song. I fucking love this song so much.
Oh yeah, then the Pete Puma fucking scream. Where in that did I actually? You wanted me to do that? Oh wait, no, it was when they first get on the they get the new Megazords, and I think like Meat's getting so excited, and then like I just did that whole verklempt thing where it's like, there's a little rabbit in this hole, and I'm so worried about him.
Much respect to the late great Stan Freeberg, who I had the chance to meet at Comic-Con. He's the best. Yeah, and I guess the last kind of chapter was Turbo, a Parody Rangers Flash movie, which we did for April Fools on 2011 after we finished up the series, and I was in the middle of working on my thesis film at that time. I felt, you know what, one last little hurrah, and so I tossed together Turbo, a Parody Rangers movie, as our April Fool's joke for 2011, and that was a fun little extra bit that we tossed in there. So.
Well, now here's another question. Here's a question for you though. Now that the series is done, and obviously we're talking about it now, you've mentioned that since these are your characters and not so much like an own property, like when you did stuff for the Nintendo stuff. So now, does that mean you have the precognizance to go back and use these characters somewhere or reimagine them in some way?
Well, obviously, sharp-eyed fans of Tome have noticed they've made little cameo appearances and throughout the show and different little quick bits. But that's something that we've definitely talked about and maybe gone ahead a little bit at different points. Because there were definitely a few moments where I tried to see about doing something with the characters, updating them a little bit, keeping a few of them as they were, but doing something with what were previously the Parody Rangers characters and doing something that was all my own with them. I think they would fit just a funny, something that could still be like ripping on Power Rangers, but not literally it's a Power Ranger spoof. I would love to do something like that, and I think that they have a lot of potential. It really just comes down to whether or not it would be, lucrative is the sad fact. It's like, it's so difficult to determine like whether something's going to be a hit or not, because it was such an uphill battle with Tome, getting it to where it was after the 4 years.
Rev up that Patreon, because I sure am hungry for some help.
But I'll say that I would love to do that someday. I would love to genuinely revisit these characters in a new form and do something original with them that's all our own, and of course have you back as Meat.
Oh boy! And now that I have better equipment, now my screaming can be heard tenfold. Aren't you people just fucking lucky?
I guess that's kind of the end of the story. I owe the Parody Rangers a lot, and you in tandem, Zito, for your lovely performance. I owe them a lot for a lot of things. For putting my name out there. They kind of started my whole reputation. Really, they started my reputation in the long run for in the animation world online, and they kind of, in some ways, were probably a factor giving me the swift kick that I needed to get back into what I really wanted to do, which was doing original content, and despite them being a parody. And I love those characters dearly. I owe them a lot. And I just, the rare time whenever I'm at a con, usually most people when they see me now, they know me for Tome, thankfully, as opposed to Brawl Taunts. Whenever I meet the occasional, hey Peach, can I get your number? When I get the occasional fan like at a convention or otherwise, you're like, oh dude, I love Parody Rangers. It's like, oh, like that warms.
You want to
my heart.
laugh?
So
you want to laugh?
Huh? Okay.
So I've been going. New York has been gaining some popularity in game design. Like our scene's getting a little bit bigger as of late, and a little bit
Uh-huh.
more. What's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more visible.
Uh-huh.
And after one night of going to one of our like get-togethers where we play test other people's video games, we had like a small little expo out there. If you guys are in the New York area and you want to get involved with game design, you should totally check out playcrafting.com.
I will have a link to that in the description.
Yeah, so they do more beyond the NYC scene because I know they're trying to pan out to San Francisco now. But yeah, like all I know of is the New York City scene. So, but after doing one of our events, I went out drinking with a couple of guys who were working there, not working there, but they were working for Game Loft, who unfortunately was let go, and a bunch of people were at the bar because of the of like a a closing of the studio. Uh, Offhand, they were talking about cartoons and everything from Newgrounds, and one of them made a fucking meat quote.
No way.
I literally just turned around and I replied on the tee to exactly what he says next. He goes, "Who was that guy who used to just do that thing that goes, 'Yeah, I could be a Power Ranger'?" And I said, "Oh, you mean like go up to Evil's face and go bam?" And the fucking look on his face was amazing. And he goes,
Did he
"No way!
know
How do
and
you
believe
know
it
about
was
that?"
you?
No, because he still didn't get it at the time. He goes, "Oh, you actually watched that show too?" "Yeah, I also happened to voice and did a couple of bits of writing on that too." So, and this is happening on currently, but I also have to like put you in a little bit of thanks for like this whole project gave me a little bit of umph to think that maybe I can do wacky voices for a living. Because during I think the second episode of the original trilogy, I went to GameStop and I heard people making quotes again as meat, and I I was just like, I never thought something like this would happen where someone would recognize my voice enough that it would be, within the common folk. So I then from down the store, like I think I was in like the Xbox section and the Xbox section, and they were all the way up in the Nintendo section, and that was up in the way front of the store, and I was in the back. So I hear someone doing Parody Rangers jokes, and then I echoed in reply to what that guy was saying, and then he looks over to his friend and goes, "Dude, that was a really good impression." And I said, "Oh fuck no, it was me. I wasn't gonna let some dude get away with that." I was like, "No, that was me." And unfortunately, that did mean I ended up getting crowded at the GameStop.
Oh, poor you with your adoring
Well,
public.
dude, I've never had that situation happen to me before. Like, I thought I would get into it, but then, like, when I found out I couldn't leave the store for an hour, I was like, oh, okay, I'm never doing this again.
I think Rocco, when he was showing up somewhere in the SVA, the student lounge or something, he even heard some people like quoting it and talking about like, oh yeah, the super fucking power parody Rangers by that Kerboffer guy, and I was like, oh man, what have we done?
Well, yeah. So the long and short of that whole story is that your legacy lives on, even today.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too. And when we were re-uploading the episodes in HD, which you can watch on my Flashback Friday playlist that I have on my channel here. When I re-uploaded them and I saw a lot of the really nice comments, like it's funny now too, because like I think of people like like Gaijin Goomba and Trailer Drake, like from the Game Theorists, who have far surpassed me in their fucking notoriety on the internet, and they were like, dude, I grew up with this shit on like back in the day on Newgrounds. I loved all this stuff, and and I just think like how bizarre that is. And even Josh Greeley, who's like a pretty prominent voice actor at Funimation now. Like when he was rooming with Fred Wood, Trunks, he was big into it too. And even like I met him at I think Youmacon a few years ago, and it was like, oh yeah, it's 37 Rangers, and I'm just like, oh my fucking god, this guy is quoting my stupid ass cartoon. Like what is going on? But I'm always really appreciative. It's one of those cases where like, because when I meet people who are fans of Brawl Taunts, like I'm jokingly like, oh, I'm so sorry that you watch those, but and even then I'm just being tongue in cheek, because I still appreciate anybody who gives a shit.
Jeez, Niosi, eat your fucking peas with all that ego, Christ.
But no, but for real, I am genuinely always appreciative of when anybody likes anything that I do, and Parody Rangers, again, because of how much I owe to its creation and what it did for me. Like, you know, it's something that it's a legacy living on that I'm perfectly proud of. And you know, who knows, you know, the future is uncertain, but you know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with you know, the fate of Meat and his crew someday in the future. You know, we'll but when that day comes, I'm sure you will most certainly be involved, Mr. Zito, Mr. Baked Ziti.
Oh, you're gonna go that route, huh?
Mr. Ziti Baker.
You're dead to me now.
Okay. And on that positive note, in the comments below. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you for joining me.
No, thank you for having me.
And go check out Zito is Nito. I'll link to his Tumblr and to, what was the game studio you mentioned before?
Playcrafting.com. I'm not sure if it's Playcrafting NYC, but
well, I'll have a link in the description.
And also, that's fine.
I'll have a link to your Tumblr as well, and you can check out your stuff.
Hooray!
And in the comments below, tell us. Do you have any other fond memories of the Parody Rangers series? Did you see them? If you have not, obviously I have a link to those too and throughout the video. But tell me your experience if you'd ever seen those. Did you watch them after you'd maybe seen Tome? If you're a recent fan or a recent listener, I want to know your stories. Sure. I think, by the way, Zito, I believe that we have now broken the record. This is the longest Kirblog we've ever done. We've beaten out the Dragon Ball Super discussion video that I did a while back.
Hot
so fucking good on you.
Yeah.
We've outweighed DBZ discussion with Power Rangers discussion. What does that say?
What does that say? I'm sure everyone on your end is just like, I'm gonna fucking kill this Chris Zito guy. Fucking drawing this shit out. I hate that asshole.
No. I think that was more on my part of drawing shit out than yours, honestly. You had more interesting shit to say than I did.
Oh, come on. You made the show.
Well, yeah. But you
you made
the show. Okay, I'm sorry, I made the show.
I said it was fucking you. You better like it.
If you have suggestions for other future Kirblog topics, such as me not getting beaten up by Zito, leave a comment about that too, or hit me up on Twitter,
like,
Tumblr,
comment,
Facebook,
and subscribe, or else I'm going to transcribe my hand into physical data and punch him through my screen.
It's true, we can do that now. The Forbidden Power allowed us to. Tome is making it so. That'll do it. That's the end. Zito, again, thank you for joining us. Does Meat have anything to say to the rest of the viewers out there to send them off?
Let me tell you something, kids. You can do anything you set your mind to. Whether that be going out to college to do funny animations, or to becoming a dumbass who makes stupid voices. But there's one thing you gotta know. That you must always go up to evil's face. And what's the magic word, kids?
I don't know. What's the magic word, you foolish ranger?
Shit, I don't know where it was going. Oh, yeah. Well, BAM!
Ow! Ow! Ew, that was my nose that I don't have. Fuck! Good night,
and
everybody.
The waveform is now incredibly large.
Good. Good night. Good night, everybody. Da 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 da.